So I'd driven about an hour to do some work, a photography job. There'd been a miscommunication between people. They had got another photographer in that was off of Airtasker that was very inexperienced, and there was a bit of a run-in with people, and I thought, well, rather than argue, I'll just leave. So I drove home a little bit peeved, but nothing serious. I got home, sat down on the sofa and just thought, well, what should I have for lunch? All of a sudden, my body involuntarily stood up. And I was in shock. I thought, what on earth happened? I didn't give the instruction to stand up. I had no intentions of standing up. And I was querying my body. What are you doing? And it started to walk towards the bedroom. And I knew that what it was doing was it was enacting a suicide attempt that I had visualized in my own mind. Can't tell you how I knew, but I'm talking to this entity that was walking me towards the bedroom. But it was just a blank wall. I knew this thing was just automaton. It was carrying out something that I'd planned. I was negotiating with myself. I was telling myself, you can't do this. What will it do to mum and dad? This will devastate them. No response. This thing was going to happen. When I realised that I'd probably walked about a dozen paces towards the bedroom, I thought, right, this has gone from negotiation, it's on for young and old. So I thought, I managed to mentally wrench back control of my body, but it was tenuous. It felt like I was very stretched, like an elastic. I was having to pull away from me to seize control. Managed to get into the kitchen and thought, my God, I can't control this. What can I do? I knew there was Valium in the house. Kept it in an old shoebox in a cupboard, got it out, Valium. And for some reason, I knew you couldn't overdose on Valium. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm just holding on to the kitchen counter thinking, just stop, hold on. And I'm being dragged mentally towards this bedroom, and I was just fighting for control. I'm a lightweight with anything to do with even paracetamol and the like. It knocks me about. And luckily enough, the Valium took effect very quickly. Started to get all wobbly, went to the sofa, just lay there, concentrating. That's all I remember. At a guess, I would say I was unconscious for about 2 to 3 hours. And I remember coming to with my neck at a very uncomfortable angle, just jammed into the corner of the sofa. And for some reason, I didn't want to move. I was like a child, mum's just walked in. I don't want her to know I'm awake. And I scanned the room, listening and feeling, and then went from the environment back to me, what's going on. And I just felt calm and at peace, couldn't hear anything in the room. And I thought, it's past. And I was able to get up and everything had gone. It was how I was just that moment before I'd stood up. It was just normal. But there'd just been this dreadful experience in betweenhand that I literally had no control over. It does make me reflect on the fact that I had, maybe fantasized is the wrong word, but I had pre-planned what I would do in my mind. To be absolutely honest, I'd actually even put a belt around my neck, hooked it onto a door just to see what it felt like. No intentions of doing anything, it's just the way my mind works. It needs to know how things would work. So I had done that with no real intention of doing it. I think it was more of a crutch to let me know that, hey, if things do get bad, there is an outlet. And I believed that that's all it was. But what I now realize is when I stood up, my body had taken that pre-planning and had pressed play. This is what I'm going to do. And there was no talking to it. There was no negotiating. There was no cajoling. It was going to do what I had planned. But luckily I had that thought, no. And I just fought. Tooth and nail. a lot of people do believe that suicide is something that's very spontaneous. It's something that it comes out of despair, something that happens over a very short term. But certainly with myself, it's something that built up over a number of years, where you realize that if you're in pain every day, year on year, that it's not really an emotional, desperate thing. It just becomes almost like a happy, logical conclusion. Hey, I can end all of this pain that I've lived in day by day. I know it's a dreadful thing, but it's something that actually does give you some joy and some relief from that. But obviously, knowing what I now know, the worrying thing is that if you do pre-plan these things too much, that it seems that the body is able to then think, okay, enough's enough, at a completely weak moment, and press play, and it happens. I believe that because you hear these dreadful stories about people taking their own lives and leaving themselves to be found by loved ones, and you think that's absolutely abhorrent. But now I kind of understand it, because if I do actually, it's actually quite scary to think what would have happened to me had that Valium not been in the house, because I was being drawn to that bedroom and it was so strong. And I'm not a weak-willed person. I'm very stubborn. I'm very obstinate. But I was being dragged to that bedroom, and just thinking about it now, I'm actually getting goosebumps as to how powerful it was. I just think people need to be aware that this is something that can happen, and just, if they can see it for what it is, recognize it and reach out. My belief with suicide is we sabotage ourselves. We just create these thoughts that more often than not aren't based in fact. We start to get a very low opinion. We feel that we have destroyed our lives, that we deserve to be unhappy and the like, and we tend to isolate ourselves, which is absolutely the wrong thing to do. I now know that from what I've been through, should I ever get back to that point again, which I don't believe I will, because I now I've turned everything around. I have a very good opinion of myself, and I have people that I love and that love me. They're the people that, if you keep those channels of communication open, you realize that life is a wonderful thing and you're not broken. Everything can be fixed, and just the love and the comfort that you get from people, as long as you open, and it's a two-way street. You're there for them, they're there for you. If you ever get really bad, you don't think about ending things, you just turn to people that can help you.